That doesn't look like a French. And it's not a French. Okay. Sorry, hang on. What am I doing here? Instantly distracted by the chess position in front of me when I'm not yet done setting up my OBS or anything. I don't have my extra monitor today, so that has... Now that's a great title for a song. Jesse Wells' new song from today. Okay, let's try to get the YouTube chat open somewhere here. Just open it. Okay. That's something. Oh, hey Skibix, hey Dripman, hey Maguzerker, hey JR. Excuse me. All right. We've got to update the standings as well. We have to give Coasty another point here. We're into round 8. Matt's got to be on 4. 4 out of 7. Because he got salvaged half a point somehow yesterday. And now let me work on the YouTube videos real quick. Okay, looks good for Matt's vid. Now let's go work on Kostya's. Boom. Kostya's video, those guys are concentrated. They're not moving, huh? Frozen. Make it a little smaller so we can get both of them in the frame there. Wow. No, both look frozen. Why is that? Okay, now they're moving a tiny bit. Wow, all 4 of them are just that focused. I thought the videos were frozen. Okay. Amazing. So let's get into the chess as well. Also, hi everybody. Hope you're all doing great. We're going to try and find Kostia's position here and see what's going on. Yeah, question about White's last move here before we move on from Drittman. You know, Drittman's like, why does White want a queen trade, right? White just played queen f4. Well, you know, people have different preferences in terms of positions and how they like to push and, you know, what kind of advantages they like and don't like. But here's one interesting thing about this queen f4 move is that actually I don't think there's any very strong response for black. For example, knight e6, queen takes, knight takes, king somewhere. It feels pretty flimsy for black. They can't play f6. c5 doesn't hurt d4. D pawn's hanging. You know, these pieces are just kind of floating here. h5 doesn't help / work against either h4 or gh5. You know, and there's lots of ways for White to press this endgame further and further. At the same time, queen f4, I thought of trading and playing h5, right? Maybe breaking the diagonal, but White can play f5 and hold the whole thing. Knight on g7 is terrible. Again, black's pretty squished. c5 runs into knight takes d5. No way to really set anything up. So queen f4 may look a little bit odd because we'd be expecting a kingside attack from black here, but I don't actually see a kingside attack from White here, but I don't actually see a good move against e4 for White. And if you look at it from White's perspective, one of the few things that could maybe go wrong in this position would be black playing h5. And then the white king being a little bit weird. And most of all, if black could break the g4 pawn, then black's knight and bishop might be able to come back to life. So I'd say to some extent the critical question or the critical concern for White, right, as the only thing that could go wrong is like, can we maintain this g4 pawn so the black pieces remain, you know, pretty bad. And yeah, I mean, between the G pawn and H pawn being slightly vulnerable on this diagonal and the white king being a little airy, I don't find it insane actually to take queens off the boards. Like what's black going to do? And think about the resulting positions after queen f4, right? Like put yourself in black shoes, Drittman, instead of white shoes. I think we naturally put ourselves in the shoes of whoever has the advantage and think, how would I prosecute this advantage? I think. So even though we're kind of like following Matt's tournament, we pop into this position and we start saying like, oh, as white, would I go, you know, queen f4 or queen g3 or queen g2? Drittman probably wants to try and play h4, h5 and, you know, chip away at black's king position. That's probably like the instinct. It was kind of like my first instinct when I came to this position as white. Now I think about it more and more, I think maybe black even plays queen h4, by the way. Crazy, right? But if we put ourselves in black's shoes, if we put ourselves in the shoes of the person who is worse, let's say, and good morning, Matthew, and hey, yes, ZJ. If we put ourselves in Matt's situation on the black side of this, how do we feel about the resulting positions after a queen trade? Like you can try knight e6, but there's knight e2 covering it. Is there any thing in this position that's sparking our joy as black? You know, do we feel any particular hope? F6 here, that's fancy. At least now we're thinking from black side. If white takes it though, what's the trick? Knight e8 after queen f4. Here, 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 here. I don't think we can let white play g5. Probably not. Oh, at first you thought the pawn would take back, yeah. So, you know, once I put myself in black's shoes, and Matt's been thinking for a while here, as I would, once I put myself in black's shoes, I'm not too happy with what I've got here. I'm not really sure where I want to go. I think maybe queen h4, which Matthew in chat is also saying. You know, queen h4, just keep the queen on, attack this, try and break out with h5. This could be one option that could come up, h5, queen f6. Now g5 might be too much. Hi Gaurav, how are you doing? So let's say queen f6 maybe forces the queen trade now, right? Here. Knight's attacked. Oh, this is not good for black. Uh-oh. This queen f6 move's pretty good here. Bizarre. So Matt's got a tough fight ahead of him. I think it's safe to say after looking at this. And maybe white is a genius to try and push him into an endgame in this position. Time will tell. Here we got Rachel. I mean, she's an e4 player, but she's got herself a positional player's position here somehow. Not a great position either. Maybe borderline equal, but not something easy for her to play. Grab our other games. Here's Anushka with a Catalan. She's managed to sack a second pawn. Looks fun, honestly. That position with two bishops down two pawns looks pretty fun. And actually, maybe we can just find Kostya's game directly through Kostya's person here. Looks like he's playing a dragon Sicilian, Kostya is. Could have started as a Najdorf, because there are some Najdorfs where you transpose to the dragon. If white plays really offbeat sixth moves. Yeah, bishop d3. I mean, I just play normally e5 here. And play a normal Najdorf, because I think the bishop on d3 is not amazing against the Najdorf. But you can also play the dragon here, as Kostya did, right? As soon as white's not playing the Yugoslav attack, you can switch to the dragon in a lot of Najdorf lines. That's true, Matthew, yeah. So, but white gets something pretty close to a Yugoslav, right? Just with the bishop on d3 versus the pawn on a6. It's not a bad tempo, bishop d3, so I'm not sure how sound Kostia's position is. And now white is planning to just dive a knight into c6 and try and get some light squared supremacy. Yep, Matthew, that's why I'm agreeing with you. Why knight d5 opening the dark squared bishop? Knight d5 to move the pawn to d5 and then implant the knight here seems to have been white's reason. The scores of all the folks we're following are below me right here. You can see all their scores after 7 rounds. Today's round 8. The final round is tomorrow. I won't be covering round 9 tomorrow. I think Kostia's found somebody else to do it, so you should still be able to watch round 9 live tomorrow. Kostia could play knight c5 here. That's like one of the simplest possible moves, and it seems to stop knight c6. So let's have a quick look at that to understand what his opponent's thinking. His opponent just played bishop e4, presumably to plunk in here. But you can play knight c5 for black, and now if white goes here, you hit here on the queen, and then take with an extra pawn. So knight c5 prevents knight c6. Then what is white's plan from there? Maybe just get around to like the typical plan with the h pawn. Rook c8. My favorite number of rounds to play in a tournament? I don't know. I've never played a 30-round tournament like they used to have in the Soviet Union. So I don't know if that would be my favorite or not, but I'm very interested to try it. I'm good, Regina. How are you? So my plan with rook c8 is if white plays h5 to go boom. No, sorry. To go... What order do I want to do this? If I just play e5, the knight can drop back, and I've only blocked my bishop on g7, huh? Maybe like so. That's sharp. Again, the players are needing some time to navigate this opening today because it's pretty intense. Here white could play anything from h6 to hg to de to rookie one. Hi, Spencer. It's messy. I don't really believe in black. I can't even explain why here. Maybe it's because I see like 6 or 7 options for white and 1 option for black. Well, yeah, of course, Spencer. I've got too many recommendations to even summarize quickly. Maybe you want to narrow down for me what you're looking for a little bit. Tough position. Okay, let me just look at your suggestion, Matthew, even though I kind of just generally want to give up on that for black. You're saying HG6, FG... Oh, I was going to play HG6 for black. Oh, Charlie and Scotty on at once. Hello, hello. All right, so Spencer's 1700 Blitz, peaked at 1900. You don't have any opening. You just play D4 and C4 without any knowledge. That's fine. Okay, maybe a YouTube playlist from the channel. Are you interested in improving your tactics or your positional play, or do you like playing Blitz, or do you want to play Bullet, or do you want to play Classical? Are you looking for advice for getting better at Blitz, or just stuff for having fun? Here's the live position, folks, after Bishop E4. You guys are going to train tonight. Nice. Spencer, you see this heartwarming reunion of Scotty and Charlie here? We're going to train at chess together. This is the #1 top recommendation for any chess player out there who wants to improve, is find yourself a study buddy. Find somebody who will, when they see you, scream Scotty in all caps. You want to get up to rapid. You want to improve in all areas. And when you say you're going to go for some tournaments, do you mean over the board tournaments, right? Like in-person tournaments? Hey, Nerdy Boy, I don't know the book Endgame Labyrinths. And are those over-the-board tournaments, Spencer, are they going to be classical time control, or are they going to be rapid time control? Are they like 1-hour games or whatever? Even if your name is Tom, you need somebody who sees you and screams, Scotty! Nice. The baby exploded a little bit, but some of the baby is still in one piece. That's good. 95 might make sense as an alternative move for black here. Yeah, 30 is kind of borderline, Spencer. I definitely wouldn't call 30 minutes classical. I'd call it rapid. They used to have something they called Action. USCF had a different rating system, I think, for games that were like 30 to 60 minutes. Action chess, it might have been called. I don't know. But yeah, if you're going to play like 15, 30-minute games, then practicing rapid should be fine for you. So one thing you could do to improve, Spencer, would be to play more rapid games online instead of Blitz games, right? The games will just be like a little bit better, a little bit higher quality, a little bit closer to what you're going to play when you go to a tournament, and just a little bit more to think about when you review them. But you seem to already know about the idea of playing games and then reviewing them. Just to be clear, reviewing your games means trying out different moves that weren't played in the game yourself and comparing them to the moves that were played in the game. It doesn't mean turning on like a chess.com game review by coach or by engine or bot or something like that, because those things are useless. They just tell you, you missed a chance to move a knight or something like that. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that in chess it's good to move your knights. Oh yeah, quick chess. Matt Chess might be right. It might have been called quick chess as well. You had like a quick rating on USCF. That's right. The tournaments were called Action, but the rating was called a quick chess rating. Okay. So if you're good on playing some 15-minute plus increment games online and then analyzing them yourself, Spencer, and you want some study material to get better, why don't you check out Endgame Sensei? Since you're open to working on everything in chess, how about doing a tiny bit of work on your endgames? And to do that, I recommend to you a series called Endgame Sensei. I think it got moved from our main channel to our VOD channel, maybe, but let me just see if I can find you the playlist real quick. Chess Dojo Endgame Sensei. Yep, there's a playlist. So Spencer, here's a playlist, and maybe you could get into some endgame sparring. As I said, if you find yourself a training buddy, a partner, or multiple, but somebody who you can practice with, what you'll see in those videos is me and Kostya doing endgame training, playing against each other. And that's an endgame. Kostya, who we're watching right now, right here, like one of the ways that he gets ready for his tournaments is he practices endgame positions against me. So you can see what we do, and you can do it yourself. You can take all the same positions that you find in those episodes. Each episode has a different position, and you can practice those positions against somebody else online, you know, or in person if they're chess players near you. Yeah, we have two YouTube channels, Chess Dojo and Chess Dojo Live. And Chess Dojo Live has some VODs posted on it. I don't know how exciting that is, but it has them. Nope, the engine does not work, Spencer. You got to find somebody to play against. That's your number one assignment if you want to get better at chess. Find somebody. Find somebody to talk about chess with, play chess with, and all that. They're right here in this channel right now, you know. You just have to find them. Okay. Matthew thinks that a move got played, perhaps. But it looks like we've got a little bit of a lag here on the moves. So we'll just go back a little bit to Kostya's think. Try and get the right time delay in. Hey Ranga, my health is good. Thank you. Anything for opening? Well, you definitely don't need to learn opening. It's fine to just play off of what you're thinking about, you know, during the game, just coming up with stuff on your own. playing d4, c4, and just taking it from there is totally fine. What are the chances of a 2050 Elite Chess Blitz player beating a 50-year-old international master? You beat one yesterday. If you, Nickel Alloy, are a 2050 Elite Chess Blitz player, then the odds of that happening are 100%. In general, Spencer, I think a pretty good pace of training for most people would be playing some games and looking at them, doing tactics or calculation of some kind daily, and then having one area of your game that you're trying to improve at a time, a focus area. My math skills are at 10 to the 2%. Thank you, Ranga. So in your case, Spencer, at your rating, you'd want to do 15 to 30 minutes of tactics or calculation a day. And then you would pick like a focus area. So in this case, I'm just randomly suggesting the end game to you. I don't really know, what your strengths and weaknesses and interests are. So we're just kind of spitballing here. But I'm telling you, like, for example, you could work on, you could watch these videos from the Endgame Sensei series and then take the positions that we played out and play them out against other people. You could do that for like 5 or 6 weeks. And then you could switch to doing something related to your end games, or you could switch to reading a chess book if you like books, or some other element. Often the area that I choose to work on is something related to my games. So let's say for 5 weeks you're playing some games, you're doing this end game stuff, and you're just keeping your calculation up with some daily calculation practice. Over the course of those 5 weeks, while I'm working on my end games, I notice, hey, I seem to be getting really bad positions with black out of the opening. Or maybe weirder, I'm getting good positions with black out of the opening, but bad positions with white out of the opening. If I see that kind of a pattern happening a lot in my games over those 5 weeks, that might tell me during the next 5-week session or module or whatever, right? I'm going to work on something with my white openings, right? So I'm going to try and figure out, like, what am I misunderstanding, right? Am I continually getting behind in development because I'm spending too much time grabbing space? Or am I continually getting kind of passive positions because I didn't fight for enough space? Or, you see what I mean? Like, I'll find some kind of pattern. For you, I would expect you play worse with black than with white. So, yeah. So you would try and, like, find some kind of problem with your black play. It doesn't necessarily mean, like, studying a book on the King's Indian defense or something like that, right? Like, you don't have to do it the theory approach. And I've been realizing more and more, I mean, I've always thought that theory is kind of a fairly bad way to learn openings, but I've been realizing more and more just how badly some people misunderstand the openings if they've used memorizing stuff as a crutch to get past 1,000 rating, but without ever really understanding it. So I don't know theory. Yeah, but there's probably something you're doing wrong, whether or not you know theory, right, Spencer? Because, like, someone else doesn't know theory, but they get a better position than you, maybe. So one thing you could do is you could apply, like, an opening sparring approach to just trying to practice the opening more. But another thing is you could try and look at a pattern. Like, let's say you think that on average at move 10, your position with black is pretty bad. The first thing you'd want to know is, at move 10, am I usually down material? At move 10, is my king normally under attack? At move 10, have I usually gotten behind in development? At move 10, do I normally have, like, a positional problem, or am I, like, cramped for space? Like, try and categorize what's going wrong a little bit better, right? There's probably some pattern to it. You might feel like, oh, I just don't... Some people might say, I don't know, I'm just, like, everything's going wrong, I have no space, and my pieces aren't out, and my king's getting attacked. It's just a disaster, I don't know where to start. But probably there's some kind of pattern to it. And if by move 10 or 15 it's already such a disaster that everything's gone wrong, then try looking at move 7 instead of move 10. Like, trace the origin of the problem. At move 7, are you cramped, or are you already behind in development? Right? Like, when are the problems starting, and what do they start with? And then you'll figure out, like, do you need to fight harder for the center, like play more aggressive moves as black? Or do you need to just hurry up your pieces and get them out faster? Right? Or are you doing, like, too fancy maneuvers trying to get a positional advantage? You need to, like, let go of that and just play some simpler moves, right? So you should be able to trace some kind of thing that's going on in the openings. If for example, that's what you noticed as being like a deficiency in your play. One of the reasons it's great to pick a topic to work on based on some kind of deficiency you see in your games is that can sometimes motivate you more for the training. Like you understand why you're working on that topic, right? It's because last month you played 30 rapid games and you feel like 10 of them you lost because you got terrible positions out of the opening with black. So you're like, I'm going to do something about that. You never analyzed your games as a bunch, yeah. So, Kostya played knight c5 after 30 minutes, folks. 30 minutes. And white played h4. Which tells us that Kostya was more than 30 minutes ahead on the clock, right? Okay, I've got a helpful comment in chat that says the video might still be about 2 minutes off. So I'm going to go back 2 more minutes on the video. And then I'm going to go to Matt Pritchard's video and do a similar thing. I'm going to try and put him at about minus 9.5. We'll see if that turns out to be about good. Hi, I just love you too. Yes, chess teachers fulfill different kinds of functions, and one of them is kind of like chess therapist. Yeah. I've been teaching a long time. A long time. I've been teaching chess for over 30 years now. So. Oh, no, wait. No, it's about to be exactly 30 years. It's about to be 30 years. Next week. Next week will be the anniversary of my 30 years of teaching chess. Hey, Cross. Yeah, my kids are there. Let them have fun, Scotty. You're probably going to have some kids at that age who can't play a full chess game, right? So have them play. Oh, you mean Kostya, like our shared boy. Kostya boy. Sorry. Kostya boy just thought 30 minutes on his last move cross online. So I think he's in a little bit of a pickle. A quandary inside a conundrum inside a pickle. You know, I looked at this position for him and I found it very complicated. Didn't see any clear path for him to play, and then decided instead of finding a good continuation for Kostya, I'd just answer all kinds of chess questions from chat, you know? Thanks, Matthew. So yeah, for the 6-year-old Scotty, a lot of them aren't going to have the patience and the attention span to play a full chess game. So my first advice is to make like smaller mini games for them, right? So give them stuff like Farmer and the Piggies. Like you can go to my video about games for the games for the toddlers. I'll answer that question in a second. Love. So, I made a video on how to teach chess for toddlers, Scotty. You could grab some mini games out of that if you want, or just whatever you come up with. I know you're a creative, smart person on your own. You can make up little mini games, but you need to make the games shorter, because one of the biggest problems for kids is if they start playing a full chess, like they want to just play. They don't want you to lecture at them, right? So you want to let them just play. But if you just let them start playing a chess game, what happens, the most dangerous thing, the biggest pitfall with just letting them play games is that some kids are going to lose attention and focus and get bored. Other kids are going to be kind of lost and not know what to do, so they'll be thinking for a long time. So you'll get a mix of like really slow and really fast kids, right? The kids who don't know what to do, so they just move fast, and the kids who like don't know what to do, so they just sit there like thinking and thinking and thinking. And then the other kids are like, hurry up, just go, or they just stop looking at their game, and they're just staring off. And what's really great is if they can finish their games, right? That's really, really helpful. Doesn't matter if they win, if they lose. It doesn't matter if they play legal moves. This is an important thing, by the way. A lot of people try to teach things way too much. Like, I was just checking comments the other day, and there was a guy commenting on the how to teach chess to your toddlers game, and he was like, why isn't he correcting his toddler? He's leaving his queen hanging. Why does he keep letting his toddler like offer a trade of his queen for a minor piece? I mean, I don't get it. It would be so simple to just like teach that right now. Why would you leave that? And you're like, dude, that kid is like 24 months old, and you want to teach them more different things to think about all at once while slowing down the game? The kid isn't able to finish a game yet, right? So the thing is, you don't need to correct like anything they do when they play, right? The key focus for you is for them to have fun. And one of the key things that's going to help them have fun is if they can finish their games and they feel like they had like closure, like they played a game and it ended and then they started another game. So you want to make the games as short and fast as possible as you want, to make sure that you get them into it. And then you'll obviously, the real goal of chess is to increase their attention spans, right? So at some point you'll want to make it longer. So, so you could start, like, you can do mini games like Farmer and the Piggies. If you want to play real chess, you can play with less pieces, right? You can have them do like king and two rooks against king checkmates, and like have everybody check off that they've done the checkmate. If you've got kids up to age 10, then you'll definitely have people who can play full games, yeah. But if you've got kids as young as 6, the first thing you have to make sure is they can finish the games. I was teaching some 5 and 6-year-olds at my kids' school last year, and a lot of them couldn't finish the game. Yeah. And there were some that could. But like those who could, giving them a mini game is no problem. They'll blaze through it, and then you'll realize you can give them more. Much easier than like having everyone sit down and start playing chess and then have like a bad first experience. You got to get them through the gate. Got to get it going, So make sure that they're able to like finish their games, and then you can up the difficulty level and stuff. Hello, Joao. Greetings, welcome. And like if eventually, Scotty, you can get into giving them some lessons, show them miniatures, right? You can show them miniatures. So, fun 10-move games, basically, where someone gets torched. Stuff like e4, e5, knight f3, f6, knight takes e5, f takes e5, queen h5 check, king e7, queen takes e5 check, king f7, bishop c4 check, king g6, queen f5 check, king h6, d4 check. Those kind of games, just like a brutal king hunt, the whole army chasing one king around, stuff like that. Especially games that end in checkmate. Like a game that ends in somebody just winning a piece and the other person resigning is a less good lesson for those kids. And then a similar training you can do is you can take games like that and you can have them play the white side against you or practice it against each other, right? So you could start a game in the position with the black king on h6 in the game I just gave you and have them practice finishing that as white. once white's queen's already on f5 and black's king is on h6. Have them practice playing from there. Then they get to play with the full pieces, but there's some chance that they can finish the game more quickly, right? In a sense, you make it a mini game by putting one side's king into so much danger that they can bring an attack to its conclusion. They can play a 10-move game instead of a 100-move game because you start with your king in danger. You can also let some kid come up and checkmate you from some horrible position, right? You could play this position here, but with the black king on e5 or g3 or something, let a kid do it. Or you could have black castle, we're just going to pick a position, right? Like hg, fg, queen h2, rook e8, have the kids practice some position where that starts like this. So they're only some number of moves away from getting this king. Something like that. I mean, even this one is too hard, right? White's not close enough to checkmate. Make it a little bit more great for white. Like put a white pawn on e6 so the black king can never get out. That's kind of what you want to give them, just like set pieces. And there's a great link from Renga. Yeah. All right, so we had a question about my Blitz quest. That's not a library, that's just one bookshelf. There's another bookshelf in the wall there. But books are great. Okay, so the Blitz quest. I did do a ton of opening study for the Blitz quest. Hi, I love you. I studied with a supercomputer, a bunch of openings, did a bunch of opening prep. And I played a couple games last weekend. I played like 3 matches maybe of like 3 or 4 games against some tough opponents. One was like in the 2400s, one was maybe 25 to 2600, and one was 2700. I touched 2550 for the first time in my life for one game, and now I'm 2540 something. So it was a good start. I don't think I'll make it. I'm just waiting to drop, 100 points at a shot at some point. Because I feel like my rating's just inflated by good luck at the moment. But at the moment, it's going well and the rating's really high, and one could falsely think that there's a chance that I'll get to 2600. Because when you're winning, it's easy to imagine you might keep winning, right? Right? When things are going well, you're like, I could easily imagine how the next game I'm going to do well. But then, once you lose, you're like, oh yeah, I remember how to lose. Okostia played this guy last year? Oh, wow. That gives him some history. Right. Yeah. The maximalism and perfectionism is not well suited to Blitz. Maybe that's more of an issue than the calculator versus the intuitive player. How to study top games. Normally Spencer with annotations. Normally with like somebody's already written explanations about the games, so you can read their explanations. Kostya finally came up with something. E5. Yeah. So the idea with E5 is if they take... Well, maybe he won't take here right away, but I mean, one version of this is to go here, 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 here. And then white needs a really good move to punish your bishop. Actually, with this mover, you might even have queen a2. So I don't know for sure if white would throw an ef7 check. Let's say they go here first. Okay, this is black's move. Now they can choose ef7 or something else. This is kind of the position that Kostya wants, I think, because I had this idea as black, and this is what I wanted. What I was concerned about with e5 was that maybe white would just drop back, and then we've just blocked in our bishop. But that does at least sort of slow down the game and give us more time to figure out what we're doing, I guess. And h5 doesn't look that devastating because white doesn't have a lot of pieces striking at the area to follow h5, so we just need something useful to do for black in the meantime, I guess, at this point. I will stream some of my Blitz quest, yeah. So my thing to make myself feel better, so to speak, Matthew, is now working to make you feel better too. Yeah, Spencer, maybe white, maybe Kostya could try to castle queenside as well at this point as a way of reducing h5 as an issue. Yeah, I could do a rapid quest instead at some point, maybe. My concern with that is I don't know if anyone even plays rapid chess at my level, you know? Like, I might search for a game and never even find a game. Rachel's opponent went crazy? Oh, they got themselves checkmated or something? What happened here? Let's have a look. So here, black was threatening to trade twice on d1 and win Rachel's knight on e5. So she decides to just trade. Black gets the d file out of it, so black's comfortable as well. Goes in with the queen. Takes, takes, takes. Black's doing great here. Amazing. Grabs a pawn, but white gets a pawn back, so that's pretty close to equal. And black's trying to finish the game too soon, yeah. She takes the d file. And black still has an escape hatch here, right? h5. Yeah, h5 would still be fine for black. And they played f6. What did they even calculate? / not calculate. Well, that's just going to be a point for Rachel, I guess, yeah. Clicking around Matt's position. Wait, queen f4, trade f5. Great choice, Matt. Stopping the avalanche. You'd think white would play g5 here, just take their space. But they played knight e2, sacking a pawn. Matt blockades the light squares with an extra pawn. The pawn on h4 might also be hanging here. Oh, it is. Look at this variation, folks. Matt can take, and if you double attack his stuff, then he comes to f5, and then if you try and take his stuff, right, that's why knights sometimes terrorize newer players. Now, normally in a classical game, a player over 1600, you wouldn't expect them to fall into it. But in Blitz, for sure, that happens to all of us, even me. And, yeah, knight h4, that looks like a clean move, winning another pawn. This move also looks pretty clean, h5, right? Protecting the passer, locking everything up, and nobody can even defend this pawn. So I would expect Pritchard to find one of these two moves and be 2 pawns up in this game. If he slept yesterday, then he should win the game. If he hasn't slept anything, then nothing I can do or say as a trainer or coach. You know, if your students don't sleep, it doesn't really matter whether or not they trained. Yeah, that's a recurring thing for you, Skibix, that you are materialistic. I mean, look at her. She could be playing... I mean, maybe she needs to be more materialistic. The pawn is just sitting there. She needs to take it at some point. She plays b5, inviting the opponent to trade and play rook c8, defending their pawn. I mean, she's not materialistic enough. She should take her pawn at some point. There's time later to play the b5 break. This is how she lost her game yesterday as well, by the way, which the lesson should be deeply imprinted in her mind. She played like a b5 move, before she had the square defended, just assuming after all the trades she could eventually go collect it and capture it. She never captured it. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to take the material back. I mean, you're not playing for checkmate, so what are you going to do? And now b5 takes, developing their knight. Uh-oh. Like, how are you ever going to win the game if you never take their pieces? We're not threatening checkmate. Gotta do something. Sometimes you just have to take the opponent's pieces. I mean, I agree, Skibix, you need to appreciate positions where, like this, where you're down material, but the position's perfectly great. But, I mean, here she should take on c4. 100%. I don't even need to think too much about e4 or anything else. This move's not too bad because she can take it next move. Now she needs to take it. She still doesn't. Now she needs to take, you know. Because you can't do anything else till you've cleaned this thing up. It's in your way. Was c takes b3 good for black? I don't know about good for black. It was probably better than not playing c takes b3, right? Mainly because it saves you a tempo on your queen. Now this pawn's attacked. You can maybe play queen b6. Queen a3. Well, you're not getting castled. That's another problem with e4, by the way, folks. e4, like, actually helps black castle. If you played queen takes c4, what is black doing? They're probably playing knight e7 anyway, right? And then I would play a move like maybe queen h4, trying to still keep black from castling. Wait, maybe she was worried about this move, hitting the bishop and the queen, right? And then if queen c5, there's knight a4. Ooh, that's annoying. Queen c4, knight b6. Yeah, that's just a huge problem. She couldn't take it yet, so she had to play something like her e4 move. Now she's able to keep her bishop defended, so that's good. And she does. I can understand doing that before queen c4. So it's really only here that she needed to take. And now she's like trying to push her advantage. She's got everything mobilized. Position's great, but you got to clean this up now. So, okay, so it's only one move that she didn't take. Hi, Alice. Hi, Robin. Welcome in. But okay, Skibix, you were asking about CB3, right? You want to know if it's a good position for black. So white takes. There's no rook b8. There's no moving the b pawn. This position doesn't look that good, Skibix, for black. No. Because it opens up the rook. I can understand why black didn't take. And just left the pawn on c4 for white to win eventually. They had two extra pawns and they didn't want to open the b file here. Right? What's black supposed to do here? If you do something like this, this position is lost. After the queen trade. You can't challenge white's bishops. And the rooks have a way into the game now. You can't get this rook into the game. Here you can resign. Like a computer will say -1,000,000, right? And then, then there's this move here. And my first thought was queen a3. You know, just really telling that king that it's doomed. But I realized black's only defense is going to be queen a6. So the easiest win for white here is actually queen d3. Queen d3. Because then if the queen comes here, you can trade it. And maybe I'll play bishop c6 before rook b7 in this move order. I don't know. But this position is lost for black. Like, resigns lost, right? Nothing left to do or say. So actually, CB3 looks pretty bad to me. That's interesting and odd. And the reason we're dwelling on it is because it's exactly what Skibix needs to see and feel and hear, right? Is that there are positions like this. That there are positions like this where someone's down 2 pawns and the other side could resign. Very important. So the live position, we got queen d8, queen c2, e4, good move, rook d1, good move. Now here we have a question about should Anushka play e5 at some point? And the answer is generally no. The idea was to protect the bishop, but the bishop's in no need of protection right now. All right, the rook's already protecting it. Black's not really attacking it. It's nice to be able to switch the position of your bishop. So when you play e5, it's just kind of locked in there. The only reason to play e5 here would be to improve this bishop. You would do it for this guy, not for this guy, right? So if you wanted threats on this diagonal, or if you wanted to move bishop e4 to try and poke holes in black's king side and sort of provoke some weaknesses over there, that's where you play e5. But you don't play e5 to support the bishop here. The bishop's fine at the moment. And yeah, in general, when you play e5, you make it possible for the black knight to at some point go to d5 or f5. f5 to guard the king side, d5 to block the d file. So, yeah. Knight here. That beeping is my cell phone, sorry. It's just folks are texting away. Nikolai, I'd be thrilled to see your game sometime. I don't know if it would be right now. So against this knight b6 move, yeah, I think we'd develop the rook to the open file. If the king sticks around in the center, I'll eventually consider maybe bishop h3 to take here. Actually, maybe I should do something really incisive. Maybe I should go here. Rook c1. This way, if the king stays in the center, I can take on c6. And if the king castles queenside, I can also take on c6. This move makes the most sense, actually, Skibix. Either one, Spencer. Depends where my opponent's pieces are. Castle queenside's a pretty good idea. This is about to get very advanced. I think I found a combination here. Now there's a factor here, Skibix, that the combination I found for white, you might say to yourself, it's something that you wouldn't be able to calculate in a game. Oh, shoot, it doesn't even work. That's a problem. That's a real problem. man, my combination was so complicated it didn't work. Just bishop f4 is totally playable, Eshek Kolik. I just wanted to win the game. I had waited long enough and I wanted to win. If it were a Blitz game, what would I play? Well, that's the thing. That's the problem with me in Blitz games, you know? Yeah, I might flag in a Blitz game. Okay, fine. Here's like a simple Blitz game possibility. We go here, here, take, pop the knight. Let's assume they don't want to go b5, bishop takes c6, okay? Knight has one retreat square, and I come here. Just weakening the king. maybe something like that. I'll tell you what didn't work was I was sitting here calculating. I had come up with this insane combination that starts with rook c5 hitting the queen. Queen here, bishop takes c6. If queen here, bishop e8, checkmate. And then if pawn takes, rook takes, king here, we can go here now. But the problem is when I moved the queen to a4, she covered this checkmate. So, whereas if you start with this sacrifice, the king can run to the corner on a8. And you don't have a way to fish him out there. Right? And here you can't break through because the queen's still on a5. Yeah. So. Queen f3, they block on d5 with this knight that's otherwise useless. It comes over. So, yeah, castle's queenside's a good try. As somebody said, you could just drop back, e5, you know, play bishop g5 or e3 or something like that. They bring the knight here. The game keeps going. Obviously, it's a pleasant position, but I just wasn't sure that Skibix would be convinced unless I found a nice, clear thing for white. After queen takes a4, why did I trade down? You mean here, here? You want me to just move my queen away and keep playing? I just liked getting my rook into the 7th rank, starting to attack things. If you want to do this, you could. I don't know. It's a very good position. To some extent, there's a whole lot of different things white could do. Someone pointed out even this move, which seems way off to the side, but, you know, even if we give up that piece and then just come here, the king of black is always in some risk. All right, so let's get to their live. Let's get to some more of these live positions. So we got b5, rook e8 trades, knight c6. She got a pawn, knight a5, bishop c7. Seems to force queen c8. Black's thinking right now. But this is just going to trade everything off, right? Like queen c8 takes here, here, queen a6 hitting this guy, here, 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 here. So, like, all of this would be so much better for white if we'd already cleaned up the c-pawn. Because when you get to the end of a line like this, what you want to be playing is a move like queen f4 or something, right? Like turning the screws, putting the pressure on the opponent. You don't want it to be black's move and they go queen e1 here, or they take over an open file. You know, you want them to really, you want to have taken care of the simple stuff so you can put the maximum pressure on. b5 here. It's too bad there's not like rook d7 or something more killer. I don't see a lot of choices here. Yeah, you can play rook a7 there. But, like, basically it's a pretty equal position, right? If we get to queen and rook versus queen and rook. But at the end when we get there, we have to spend a move taking a pawn instead of putting on pressure. Black's going to take, we take, they move their rook to f8 or whatever. Or queen back to b8. Or here, if they don't want to trade the e-pawn for the a-pawn. No, I think they probably would because they don't want this to start tying them down. Anyway, it would be nice to have the c-pawn cleaned up in advance. Then you get these long sequences and you always come out with it's your move and you can put the pressure. See what's happened to Kostya after e5. The opponent, whoa, lots of stuff has happened. The opponent played knight e2. And Kostya had a very concrete plan. He traded and won this pawn. Holy moly. That puts a lot of pressure on white. They've got to go on a wild offensive now, they might feel like. They don't 100% have to, but they might feel it because, you know, breathing down the king's neck. This move defends b2, threatens d6. Good move. Does Kostya need to defend d6? I don't think so. I would expect him to castle kingside now, maybe? Rachel's already won. That makes sense. Since she was just taking pieces last time we saw the game. Yep. Clean. Clean final 2 or 3 moves. I mean, yeah, not much to say there for Rachel. You know, her opponent just gave her a point, kind of like she just gave her opponent a point yesterday. And that happens sometimes, right? They're not professionals. And I've been realizing, like, one of the difference between stronger players and less strong players, or, you know, more experienced masters and, you know, players between 1200 and 2000, is that the masters are just more consistent. You know, they don't throw away a game once every 5 games or throw away a piece once every 5 games. And, you know, sometimes Rachel, Anushka, Matt, they sound so much like, you know, real chess players. Like, I'm like shocked that they've been playing, you know, for 2 or 3 tournaments, you know, or sometimes, you know, you talk to these people who've only played a few tournaments, been like studying chess online for a year. They sound so much like masters, and you're like, what's the gap even? How do they know everything? But they're still every now and then doing things like this. I mean, literally in this position, Rachel played rook d1 against her opponent, 1700. The threat, pretty clear. She wants to go rook d8. The king's trap, bishop has to block, right? And you lose the bishop. All right, if black wants to get out of this, right, they could move this pawn, they could move this pawn, or they could move this bishop. Now, if you move this pawn, the knight's still covering f7. So you have 2 or 3 options. You just list them to yourselves. You know, okay, this looks like the right one, right? Even this one would avoid getting mated, although it's not pretty, because white gets f6 for the bishop. But, you know, they think for a couple minutes and then just play f6. I mean, it's just a game. It's just like, you'll never, ever see a master just not answer rook d8 here. You know what I mean? It's just like, and you can look at some other games played by Simeon probably earlier this tournament and say like, oh wow, they're like a really competent chess player, right? But every now and then they do something like this. Or Rachel, very, very competent chess player when you look at some of her games, but then in yesterday's game, you know, in this position, she played e5 as if it were a King's Indian with white's knight on c3. And, you know, I'm waiting to ask her, like, what did she calculate in case white played takes? You know, like, was there any kind of a plan? Because really, I mean, there's nothing. Black's down a pawn, and now she made it worse with knight e4 developing white's queenside for them and weakening her king, right? And then she's like truly lost, and she got mated in 4 more moves. So there's an element of some like consistency somewhere, right? Where there are these like gaps that, you know, Kostya or Ivo Diaz, they're like never going to do something like that, right? They're never just going to have you threaten queen a1 and they just don't do it. Like, that would be like the equivalent of here of Ivo like once every 5 games playing h5 and allowing queen a1 mate. It's just not going to happen, you know? It's just not going to happen. Hey Spencer, yeah, 3 of these people are my students, and one of them is my co-teacher. This channel here is sort of run by 3 different teachers. Kostya is one of them. We're watching him play here, and another one is Jesse, and then there's myself. My coaching fee is whatever your fee is in whatever you do in life. So if you make $5 an hour, I charge you $5 an hour, and if you make $50 an hour, I charge you $50 an hour, and if you make $1,000 an hour, I charge you $1,000 an hour. But the main problem with my coaching, I think, is not the fee. Well, I think the fee is not a problem at all. I think it's very reasonable. But the problem is my availability. I'm just not available, basically. We're spending our time on group teaching here, right? Like, we're doing lessons for groups of people, doing all our lessons online, making training materials, videos, stuff like that. Another thing about hanging material is as you get higher and higher and face stronger and stronger players, they put more and more pressure on you. So you'll find like it's even harder to hold on to your pieces against stronger players just because you're getting like tired worrying about things. Like a player like Ivo or Kostya, they might eventually hang a piece on move 50. They might, right? They might eventually hang a piece on move 50. Because the other person has made like 100 threats, set 100 traps. They've been working for 5 or 6 hours, worrying about little positional decisions and stuff like that, right? And finally, in their exhaustion, they could hang a piece. So that is one thing that happens in high-level games, especially there at round 8 of a tournament, right? You can eventually like grind other people down and work them down. That's how Gukesh won the World Championship, right? The final game of the World Championship, Ding played a blunder that was just like unimaginable blunder. Just 1 in a million, right? But Gukesh had ground him down. Not just that game by playing 80 pointless moves, so to speak, in a drawn position. We say pointless. Those are literally the moves that made the world champion, right? But 80 moves that look pointless in a dead drawn endgame. But not only in that game had he ground him down, but for 3 weeks he'd been grinding him down, right? He'd been just making him play as many moves as possible. He'd been declining draws in worse positions to make the games last longer, to make Ding work harder and longer. And finally the guy made some kind of horrible blunder. So you can actually get these kind of blunders out of players like Ivo or Kostya or me or Ding Liren for that matter. But you have to work them really hard before those blunders come out, right? And in the case of like this kind of a game, you know, the players have been playing for... When Rachel played Rook D1, the players had been playing for like an hour, right? They'd been playing for an hour. She made a one-move threat, nothing hidden under it. Simeon had a full hour on the clock to think about it, right? That's something you will never see from like a better player, right? You have to get them tired to get something like that out of them. You have to get them way more tired. My email is fine. Yeah, it's just my last name at Gmail. PRUESS@gmail. Dabo, every day with everything I do, I'm trying to do a beautiful thing normally. Well, sometimes I'm just trying to get through. Sometimes I'm just trying to get through something, you know, like with like a bedtime or something like that, or a diaper change. I'm like, you know, the kid just keeps rolling around and kicking, and I'm not necessarily trying to do a beautiful diaper change every time. Sometimes like, let's just get this done, please. But in general, I try in my life, for like anything you're doing, to try and do it in like a beautiful way, right? Makes sense. Makes sense to try. You know, if I cut bread, I try to cut bread in a beautiful way. Let's see how Matt's doing. Let's see how our buddy Matt's doing. Should be over here. All right, King H2. Wait, no, lots of moves added. Let's go back here. Matt played H5. And that pawn on H4 is so dead, the dude's not even taking it. He's just like, don't move your knight. I've got D4 in my sights. Finally takes it. Comes in. And goes and defends the queen side with that same knight. Tries to open the queen side. Oh my god, he's taking a third pawn? Wait, no, he's overdone it. On knight B5, there's A4, and he drops all kinds of stuff. Oh no. He should have just taken here. Then white would have knight C3. It's hard to hold everything together forever. Ay. There's gonna be some counterplay this game still. Some counterplay yet. Yes, Dabo, it's not random, right? You can find my political beliefs not so deeply hidden in that notion of my rate. Obviously, I've been teaching chess for 30 years, so I've had time to think about it. No, I studied political economy in school, you know, so. All right, so where's that poor knight going after A4? Will it go back through A3 to get back to C4? That might make sense. Not easy. Let's see what's happening. There's going to be blood in this game here of Anushka's. Trade, boom, boom, boom. I predicted all of those moves, so you've got nothing new to see. Sorry, folks. Back to Kostya's game. This one's going, as we expected, towards a rook and queen versus rook and queen. Position, that'll be pretty close to equal. Kostya finally castled. Like I said he would. Queen takes d6, looks terrible. Not only black could just play queen a1, b2, regaining their pawn, but Even worse for white, you know, they could maybe develop their rooks and stuff, right? So white's going to play h5. They did. And, yeah, I agree, Skibix. He let white get some activity. Which is a big mistake. You want to see exactly where his main mistake was, Skibix? I didn't mention it. The big mistake was not in this like knight a3 calculation or the cb5 calculation. Because cb knight c3 is, who knows. Knight a3, rook b2. Knight b5 is, well, who knows. Like, the mistake was one move ago. Right here. He should have just locked it in. Said, that's that. Right? And then play a5 on the next move. This is a lock. You know, having played a5, then I guess it's kind of pointless to go grab that pawn. If I were black, I would now simply put a rook on the b file. Something like that. Maybe play a4 first. Because I don't want white playing a4. I'm advancing this. And then when they trade, right, I'm just going to come fight for this file. But like normally here you lock in the knight. That's the reason you brought it over here. And then from here, you know, there's some different directions you can play. Yeah. It was kind of clever to bring the knight all the way over here, I have to say. Pretty nice that he spotted that. Pretty nice spot. But now he's going to have to deal with some counterplay. So let's hope he slept. If he hasn't slept, this rook on b7 could devastate his whole mind. There's rook b7 check, Santos said. So really we just want to go straight to the b file. It's Rengaw's birthday today. How nice. Yeah, Spencer, we've got like a... We lucked into a, you know, super, super good developer who joined our team and made a pretty cool website for us. Which really helps with the good teaching, right? It makes it much slicker. What is white thinking about other than e4? I don't know, Lethal. I don't know. I get the feeling white hasn't given up, right? Sometimes when you're down 3 pawns, you could be thinking about ending it all with a resignation. Birthday, Friday off, pretty good spot. All right. Well, Renga, I hope you're doing everything the way you want it today. I definitely get the feeling white's still fighting. So if they're still fighting, they've got a4 here. Take this with check. Oh my god. Take this with check. Oh god, it's all over. All over for Matt's advantage. What? I guess knight a7 to try and keep white's rook out of c6 for a little bit. But that, I mean, that is awful. That knight there and that rook. And the king has nowhere good to go. It's so bad. I guess you go here with the idea of playing rook f7. That's maybe the safest we can do. Here's a crazy tactic I may have just noticed. In this position here, white might have f5. No, it doesn't quite work. The king can take and then come forward. And then it sort of escapes the net of the white pieces. But that still wins a piece for white. I mean, that's not nothing. That's not nothing, a whole piece. And you see if you take with the pawn, it's even worse. Wait, can I take with the rook? Right, then I was also clearing the square for the knight. Then white wins an exchange like that. And then these two black pieces are trapped, actually. If I move the knight, it's checkmate. And if I move the rook, I lose the knight. So now black is basically lost. Oh! Oh my god. F5. F5 might work, basically. And he's played king e6. God, that proud knight from c4. It went all the way to a7 and didn't even win a pawn on the way. Yeah, f5. His opponent's not going to find f5. Don't worry, folks. I'm just saying it's a cool move for all of you to see. Now, could there be something else that white can find that could be winning? Yes. This is definitely an eminently winning position. Many ways to potentially win it. But if white dilly-dallies, black has the idea of rook f7, digging out some of this position. This is the kind of move a human might play, right? Does that look attractive? Idea come here. Yeah. Knights are so sensitive. You know, it was so good. Now it's so bad. Rook here. Takes. Takes here. These can't get out. The guy might see f5. Dabo, how on earth would a 1600 find f5 on their own in a game? Are there any 1600s in chat? Would any of you consider the move f5 here? Like, would it occur to you? Would you? Maia Zerker says it's 100% findable. Okay. So you guys think 1600s can find this move? Checks, captures, threats. Checks, captures, threats. Okay. Okay, folks. We're getting different opinions. I'm having some 1600s say no chance. Others saying like, oh yeah, I find it. I mean, Scotty might look for f5 because Scotty's a lunatic. But this looks like a more normal move to me, doesn't it? Rook c5. Looks pretty good. I mean, Scotty also looked at rook e7 as well as looking at f5, just for the record, right? Like, lunatics just look at everything like that. Every aggressive move. See what's happening with Kosti after h5. He brought the rook to c8. Makes sense. Takes. Takes. Yeah. You know, very often you like to play fg6 in these positions just to slow this a little bit sometimes, defend yourself along the second rank. I think the problem here is that with the king like this, well, with the queen having entry, this queen e6 move is really strong. So now, obviously, we've got a counterattack for black right here that looks pretty good. But queen check. If king f8, rook f1 is mate, all with checks. And if king here, rook h7 is going to be mate, all with checks, right? Folks, always consider boxing them in instead of chasing them. sometimes rook h6 works, some longer calculation, but really get in the habit of boxing them in. Will make for much easier calculations. See, folks, I was right. Scotty looked at rook e7 as well. F5 played. What the ever-loving hell? Are you kidding me? Hey, we'll be around another day, Spencer, you know? You can sleeping is the absolute most important thing. Matt has scored less well this tournament because he didn't sleep this tournament, okay? So you go get your sleep. We'll always be around. There's always fun waiting on another day in the future. You know, you don't have to get it all today. Holy cannoli. Matt says his opponent offered him a draw. He's very confused. He was complacent. Terrible. Seems like Matt's game is done. I have to start thinking about 1600s differently. Well, here's the thing, my Berserker. It's almost insane. This 1600 found the move f5 and offered a draw. Like, what is that? Like, aha, I found a brilliant combination to checkmate you. Would you like a draw? Oh. Okay. Interesting. Matt took with the rook, apparently. All right, we're receiving a phone call here. Live from the horse's mouth, folks.
Hiya.
Hiya. Chat, can you hear Matt correctly?
Testing. There might be a lot of background noise if you can hear me. But yeah.
Okay, they hear you. We're good.
Oh my God. What's wrong with me, David? What's wrong with me? A5 is a horrendous decision, but
Yeah.
I don't know how far into the game you are. There was a mating tactic.
We're at f5, rook takes f5. f5 was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Knight f4. Oh yeah, sorry. Takes knight f4. Oh right. So I managed to. I go up. Yeah, I go up a pawn because f5. I spent a lot of time on because it seems so anti-positional. But it was the only way. I think it was the only way to make him make a decision.
Oh yeah, sorry. Your f5 move was great. We're at the point in the game where he's playing f5 and knight f4. We're still watching the last couple moves.
Oh, f5 check.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then knight f4, and I've got it. Yeah, it's losing. It's just losing. Like, yeah. I don't see what. He offered me a draw last night, and I took it with it.
Oh, is knight f4 the last move of the game?
Yeah. He offered me a draw.
He said, like, checkmate. I mean, draw.
Right.
That's
yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, it was a bit of a mess of a game. Like, I have no, like, not a clue.
All right, folks. This is the final. This is the final position you see before you. There are no more moves coming. And in this position, the game ended in a draw.
I can't believe I walked in, but yeah, I'm just about to post-mortem as well with my opponent. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll be interested. I mean, up until F5, I think I was, or maybe I can put you on speaker, but you might hear a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll speak up. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is
I
it very
hear you.
loud? All right, great.
Hi, David.
This
Hello.
is my opponent.
Yo, I'm a big fan.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Joao. I'm a fan of your tactic at the end of the game. Good job finding F5.
Oh yeah, I gotta go for the swindle.
We were watching, and I made a bet with my chat that a player rated 1600 wouldn't see F5, and chat was split on the question, but
Yeah, it's complicated. It's just so we clear it up. It's winning at the end for white, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but no matter. Yeah, I was just so over the game already.
You were over the game. I see. From my perspective, the game had just gotten really good for you. The last two moves, it was getting more fun.
Yeah. I can't believe like knight A3. And like A4, I got complacent. I got complacent and I threw. Okay.
So E4.
So at which point? So we're just running through the opening.
Sure, go through whatever you guys want.
And the exchange.
So we play the exchange. I go bishop. Sorry, you miss.
Yeah. Bishop E5.
Bishop G5, Bishop E7,
E3.
E3, and castles. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then Queen C2.
And then C6.
And then Bishop E3, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I sort of vaguely remembered some setups, as you probably noticed, with like knight D7, G6, rook E8.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the right plan? Because I actually hadn't reviewed my lines before this game. And I obviously haven't played this before, so I really wasn't sure.
Right. So I don't know this opening super well either. Like
Right.
So, like to the sense that I don't know the right answer, but I know how to, but I have some idea how to think about it. So here's how I think about it. Normally at this point, you want to try to trade a piece, right? As black.
Yeah.
So, you
Knight
went
H5 is an option here.
exactly. Yeah, that's the first move that I would think of for you, Matt. Is knight H5,
Right.
trying to just trade that piece.
Yeah,
Sure.
but like H6 first, and then Knight H5.
You can also
Okay,
play
yeah.
H6 first if you want, or you can play it without H6. Either way.
I feel like I thought. I didn't know this knight H5 idea. That makes so much sense.
There's another like the release maneuver. I think we call it. Yeah, we have a different name for it in Portuguese, but essentially, we play it like you do. So 98, and then
Rook E8.
yeah, right, exactly. So it's been a lot, and
Yeah.
then you can play 95, 94,
Yeah.
and then I can't take here essentially because with the knight already here.
Yeah.
Because if I take here, you take back with the queen.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't take the knight
Yeah.
unless it's with the bishop. Then
Yeah.
I have to play
Yeah,
knight
yeah,
D2 and-
I was looking at some of this. Okay, well knight H5 is an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here are the patterns, Matt. White is playing moves like Queen C2 and Bishop D3 early to stop you from playing Bishop C8, right?
Yeah.
So when they do that, you need to find the right maneuver with your knight on F6 to trade the bishop on G5 off. You need to relieve
Sure.
your position with a trade. And then
Right.
there's basically two ways to do it. You can play knight E4 or knight H5.
Yeah.
And each of those moves, you can precede them with H6 or not precede them with H6.
Right.
Right? So, for example, in the position that Joao was just showing you with knight E4 and how if everything trades off, black's okay, right? White has to retreat the knight from F3 to D2 and you get a game.
Yeah.
In that position, if you've played H6, first, then you can't play knight E4 anymore because they can play bishop takes E4, pawn takes E4, queen takes E4, and the queen defends the bishop on H4 versus a bishop on G5 that would be hanging.
Right. Yeah.
But to me, as soon as he played knight F3, the move knight H5 would be the big question. It looks like that sort of gets you a trade right off the bat.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I don't know for sure it's the best move, but it's logical.
Yeah, right. Okay. Knight f3. Oh yeah.
So yeah, c6, knight f3. Knight bd7, bd3. Yeah, I got the move order. Alright, rook e8.
Yeah.
H3. It's sort of a waiting move. I want to play before. I was waiting for you to go here.
Right.
And then I can.
So h6, bishop f4, and that's what you're waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Cool.
to go all in. So h3. You went knight f8.
Yeah.
Against it.
And then I went g6.
Yeah.
So I was trying for this knight maneuver, going like knight e6, knight e7. I'm sorry, knight e6, knight g7, and bishop f5. But
Yep.
g4 just locked that down, and then I thought, oh, I'm in trouble. Yeah. So
Right.
essentially, wrong plan.
So, well, here's one little detail if you want to do this plan, Matt. Oh, if you go
Yeah.
knight e6 first, then white wins your pawn on h7, right?
Yeah, that's why I played g6.
That's why you have to play the
I was
g6 order.
I was gonna play g6 before knight f8 even, but I didn't know if it yeah
Right.
mattered. But then I like kind of knight f8 because then if I didn't want to push g6, then I'm just chilling. Well,
Yeah.
not chilling, but like. But then I also thought, can I play? Can I play knight e4 then, or are there too many? Instead of my next move, maybe like knight e4, knight takes, pawn takes.
Yeah.
So instead of g6, maybe knight e4 is just the play.
Yeah, I think this g6 plan with knight e6, knight g7 and stuff, I think that's a secondary plan for black if knight h5 and knight e4 both don't work. So
Right.
there may be some fancy move orders for white that kind of avoid knight h5 or knight e4. For
Yeah.
example, I could imagine white playing bishop f4 willingly at some point before you've played knight
Right.
h5, and then if you play knight h5, the bishop could go to e5 or h2 or something. So if they've spent some time on that, and then you could play the move knight e6 without h7 hanging.
Right.
I could imagine like maybe that's where the g6 knight g7 thing happens, but here he hasn't played a single like ultra fancy move, right? He hasn't really wasted his time. He's played pretty quick development. So you do this long maneuver and he uses the time to play knight e5, and then his position's strong enough that he can follow up with moves like f4 and g4 because he's got the time on his side.
Got you.
Yeah. So in terms of your further study, let's make sure that you get comfortable with knight e4 and knight h5. Like that's like your first level plan. Make sure you find where that's good or slightly bad so you know when you do or don't want to play those moves.
Yep.
And then if you start finding yourself in positions where knight e4 and knight h5 aren't good, then you can worry about like the plan Bs.
Right. Sure. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and then I guess we can zip through knight f8, castles. Yeah, I just went.
G6.
And then I went. Castles g6. Yeah, sorry. Knight e5, knight e6,
H6
knight e7,
and G4.
and g4. Yeah, and then I was like, okay.
Then you play knight d6, but I really don't know how to continue the attack after this.
Knight back to d7.
So knight d7. I don't know. I don't want to play knight f3 again, but what else do I have?
No, I mean you don't. You could play f4. I thought you were going to play f4.
I did.
Oh yeah, so.
But then it leads to what we played in the game.
Yeah, but I thought you'd take. I thought it was.
Take the.
Yeah. Take with the deep.
Deep one. But yeah, I want to open the line for the rook.
Yeah, but you've got like f like g5 f5 coming. There's loads of annoyance on all of these squares. Like I don't know.
I think you did everything right up to here, Joao. I think this is all perfect for white.
So I should have taken with the D pawn, right?
I'm not sure. The F pawn looks good too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't really see anything better than what we played.
Mm-hmm.
So bishop G5 takes.
Yeah.
And then
I thought I'm going active at least. Yeah. Yeah. And then I went rook f8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I debating with bishop e6 and holding and all that kind of stuff, but then I thought my bishop or knight might want to come to e6, so I didn't want to commit either one to that square. And so rook f1 because that file's important. I'm not worried about, like, I was already trying to figure out if I could get f5 things going, and what en passant and all that kind of stuff is. So yeah, rook f8, and then queen trade.
Yeah, the queen trade. I wasn't sure. I wanted to still do something like e4 right away.
Yeah.
But it feels too slow.
I mean, I was a little worried on e4, in honesty. Like,
e4, bishop e6, then what?
yeah, bishop e6 was the only way I saw
And then
that was fine.
Then you have knight h4.
Yeah, but knight h5 looks nice because it's a pin, but it doesn't really do anything that I thought. Like,
Yeah,
I thought knight h5, king h2. I even thought you might even just throw in king h2 at some point. Like,
I would. It's,
like you can wait.
If we didn't trade queens, then the next one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah. So queen f4, and then yeah, I was still thinking about f5 on this, but then I thought of maybe like knight e6, f5.
And I was back. I think this is fine for white, but then
yeah, f5 isn't so good. This is why I didn't like I think taking with the rook might have been nicer, because I don't think my f5 solution works because I've also committed the knight to a different square. But then I was going to go knight g5, but it's not in the right space. Like, I thought everything was a bit. Yeah, I find it really hard to come up with a plan when you've still got the f file open.
Yeah, your targets aren't like there's.
I don't have
even
any.
if you have h5, like you can just move. So
Yeah,
not as easy.
So, like, that's when I thought, well, after pawn takes, I do have f5. So that thing I was calculating, spent so much time calculating, like, rook takes, and then trying to figure out what I was going to do. And pawn takes, I stopped calculating pawn takes on your go when you were thinking about it, because I thought you were just going to play rook takes, but I thought that was a stronger move.
Yeah.
But, like, that, yeah.
I was split between them. I thought pawn takes would end up with a more ambitious endgame. But clearly not.
I know you're attacking, like, I think you closed. Okay, you fixed your structure, but your structure's strong, and you're the only one that's like putting pressure. Yeah. Like, yeah. So anyway, pawn takes and then f5, which seems against everything in my position to put all of my pawns on this color complex. But I thought the only thing that worked, because obviously, okay, I end up picking up the pawn because you move order wrong. But even on like e takes, rook takes, then I started feeling a little bit better. I think
I don't like it for white. I thought about this a lot, and then after 96, what was it?
Well, it's your move.
Yeah, or I thought about f5, but it doesn't.
Well, I thought just rookie one.
Okay, and now I have to play 92 or sack the exchange, but that's awful. Yeah, I'm stuck now.
Yeah, I also thought you might just continue with your push on f5. So instead of even bringing the like knight back, so rook takes f6, and then I thought you might go f5. Yeah, but my king's a bit airy. I mean, so is yours, in fairness. But
let's say you take.
Yeah.
I take with bishop.
I mean, you can also push. You don't have to take.
Right.
But I don't know what it does.
Never taking it. And it's just going to be another weakness. I don't know. I thought about it, and I would. It was an idea, but I liked G4 better. So,
right.
Matt,
So-
you've got a good sense here, I think, because this idea of trading on f6, putting the rook on e1, when black plays knight e6, playing f5 for white, to me that looks like the critical variation.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it pans out, but it looks like the right kind of moves.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my idea initially was to go G5
And lock it down.
and
Yeah.
lock it down and then just maneuver
Then,
around a bit.
then at the point, if you were going to go G5 and lock it down, I was like, right, what I'm going to do is like B6, bishop B7, trying to push for C5 at some point and get my rooks on like the C and D files. And I thought like I can play it a little bit slow, blockade the pawn with my knight, and then I will try and like have some pressure on like the C file or D file. Like that was my only plan, but I thought I have time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't break through yet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Solid plan.
Evaluating evaluating that I'm not sure of, but like that's my only strategy.
No, you made a lot of good strategic decisions here, and you had like a good sense of what needed to be done.
Yeah, but it's because I'm in trouble. That's my problem. I can only do this when I'm in trouble. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened here is this is my issue in a lot of games.
Yeah, so it's a knight.
Psychology.
Yeah.
And I move ordered wrong. I wanted to play G5 first, but I grabbed the knight and just get in my head a lot. So
Yeah.
lose the pawn here.
Yeah.
And I thought I could maybe hold it by closing it with H4, but then the knight just picks up the second pawn. So one mistake leads to another, and
Yeah,
I think I just taken.
I mean, yeah.
And play it down a pawn.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, then, well, I managed to give it
Yeah, so I played H4.
H4, yeah.
And that's just
Knight F5, H2. I thought to just take the pawn straight away, because your king can, like, walk in the future, but I thought H5 and I'll take the pawn at my leisure.
in a rush.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh, sorry, we traded, first. Yeah.
And after that, it's just playing for the swindle. I got to be aware of the forks.
I knew A5 was bad. Why did I play it? Again, complacency kills. Do not be complacent.
Rook B2, right? Or B4 first.
Yeah, B4 first, then.
Yeah, B4 first, and then King F7,
Sure.
and then Rook AB1.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have even bothered with King F7. I felt like I wanted my king on A6, but that led to problems. Yeah, and now because your rooks are split, I thought, I've got the fork opportunity. The knight takes H4.
Yeah, so gotta dodge that.
Yeah. And then I thought I can maneuver my knight all the way around to check. Knight E2,
Should be.
rook down, and then knight E4 and all my problems are fine, and I just need to chill. Yeah. I was worried about going king E6 and then F5, in so many lines and around this position, that it's crazy that I didn't actually look at it when it was really critical.
Give an issue.
Because because then you start picking up my H5 pawn, it's not that, well, potentially I know I can take the king, but yeah, I was very aware of going E6, F5 and allowing you these knight checks to potentially pick apart my position.
Yeah, here we played A5, right?
Yeah.
No,
A5, yeah.
Let me suggest just one concept here for you, Matt, about this position in general. For 3 or 4 moves, you've got kind of the same structure here, right? And you're wondering, should I put my king on E6? Should I put my knight on C4 or on F5? Should I... I think that the missing piece may have been your rooks. We haven't even mentioned your rooks.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it seems there's no plan for them at all, right?
I had one plan.
Yeah?
I had one small plan, which is rook H8.
Okay.
But just because it was a tactical motif of rook H8, trying to push H4 and king takes G4 and fork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, maybe trying to swindle while I'm up, but yeah. So you can't take the pawn, and then my pawns can start moving. That was a plan I had, and then I, for whatever reason, decided I liked A5.
Okay. Well, instead of A5, let's calculate h4 in that case.
All right, so what? Rook h8.
No, h4.
Oh, h4 check straight away. Yeah, I thought that might work as well, but like h4 king take, rook h8. You can't take on the. Yeah, but you can go. Oh.
No, I can't.
No. Wow. So you gotta go. You gotta go back. Yeah. No. But so you can't.
I can't take anything.
So h4 king takes, rook check. You can king back to g3. Rook h3. Rook h3. Right. We're coming in.
Rook h3 and then rook h8.
Yeah. We come in.
So how do you feel about that position, Matt?
Great. So good.
I know structurally your position was perfect before you sacked the h-pawn, right? No flaws,
Yeah,
2 extra passed pawns. But how do you feel about this position here with 2 rooks on an open file? White's rooks now look bad. Knight on c4. Yeah. You've got rook h2, rook f3, the g-pawn to work with.
I needed to calculate this deeper. I just I stopped calculating for this. Yeah, because I did look at h4, king takes, and then rook check, king back, and I was like, well, what am I doing? And then I didn't actually look at my next move. Rook h3 is so nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it sounds like this was like just, you know, like a step around the corner from things you were thinking about, right? But I would say in general, this phase of the game for a few moves, my question has been like, how is black going to use the rooks? Because right now they've got no file, right?
Right.
So, okay, we could think in terms of what's white going to try. The only thing they could try is b5. We could just sit a rook on b8, and then if white ever plays b5, it's not even good for white. It's not hard to maybe contain white's counterplay, but if we try to think about how do we eventually want to win the game, there's basically 3 different ways. You could try to play h4. You could try to play g5 to open the f file. Or you could try to play a5. And in terms of where you position your knight when you're choosing between, you know, knight f5 or knight f3 to d2 to c4, or even once you're on c4, you could always go knight e3 hitting the rook, knight back to f5 if you decide you want your knight there. The knight can kind of go almost anywhere. It's amazing. And you did a good job of seeing your routes, right? But to sort of lay out a plan for what you want to do with your rooks, and then part of that plan, and then when you figured that out, it tells you where to put the king. Like if your plan was g5, then the king f7 move was bad. You weren't sure if you should play king f7 or not, right?
Yeah, I actually thought about bringing my king back to g7 and h6, so I could push g5.
Exactly, right?
Well, like,
so I think
and then like, the e6, just like there were problems with it being on e6, and I just it's like one of those where I was like, oh yeah, I'll just blockade the pawn, and then didn't think about what my actual plans were. I was like, oh, I'll blockade the pawn, and then I'll get to it,
and then I'll get to it, right? But if you take the moment to decide, like, do I want to move g5, h4, or a5 eventually, right?
Yeah.
And then you can sort of place your rooks and your king accordingly. Because looking at this position, I could imagine that easily a g5 pawn sack at some point with the idea of fg, rook f3 could be good enough. Maybe you don't even need to bring your king up to h6 to play g5, right?
Yeah. I again looked like briefly at all of these like ideas as well, like g5 takes and then what, king g6. But yeah, I thought like g5 takes, king g6, and then rook d6, rook d3. C3, sorry.
Right.
I was like, I don't know, but I suppose then I can double. My small worry is white does have a passer that I will have to like maybe spend some time dealing with at some point. But yeah, it's kind of hard to answer actually.
So anyway, I mean, that's more than any one move or any one calculation or anything. It's just that is to be like, what is going to be the employ of the rooks, right? And that can then guide what you do here, because the rooks are well over half of the army. And so, they just have to be thought of.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I was just a little complacent as well at this point. I was like, 99 times out of 100, I think I could convert this. or like, okay, maybe 80 times. Like, well, against someone my level. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Got to play for trick.
Yeah, but A5. Well, I didn't even consider knight A3, and then I saw it, and I was like, oh, I just pick up another pawn. Like, and then I did it, and then I was like, oh no, H4.
What had your plan been when you played A5?
I was gonna let them their pawns sit on C on B5, and like if they want to take, they can, and then like rook B8 essentially.
Right.
Or even like rook H8 still, because if they take, I always have time for rook B8. There's no problem. That was the whole plan, and then suddenly I miraculously saw
knight
A3.
Oof.
And I was like, oh, that's great, and yeah, didn't consider it properly at all.
I kind of thought
like,
your best move after B5 might be A4. Just advancing that A pawn so white can't play A4, right?
Yeah.
And this means that at some point that B5 pawn will have to trade on C6 because you've cut it off from A4. And when it does, then you put a rook on B8.
Yeah.
So I thought A4 looked pretty clean here still.
Yeah.
And when you played knight A3, rook B2, had you yet seen A4? Because you could come back to C4 if you saw A4 impending at this point. You're not committed to knight B5 until you play it.
No, I hadn't. I was like, I'm picking up a pawn, and I had literally stopped any form of calculation.
Okay, only once you
typed. Knight A3.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw knight A3, I was like, oh great, I get another pawn.
Yeah, just keep collecting.
That was the process.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Well, interesting.
And then so if I just stopped for a second and went, oh well, he gets the like the B file. So yeah, kind of annoying. But oh well.
Yeah.
So it's happened.
Hero's even thinking of playing F5 first because
I would have left it. I would have just got because I would have then played A4 because when my knight was on B5, I was like, oh no.
What's the exchange?
Well, I thought you could sack the exchange anyway. Actually, when I came back, like
here's what I thought because I had ideas of getting a perpetual with the knight. So if you're on the So yeah, where do you go?
Yeah.
So here I was hoping for something.
Yeah, I thought you were going to sack the exchange anyway, and I was like, actually, the exchange sack is like suddenly my structure's gone. You're in. You still have a pass there. Your knight can like maybe start.
Yeah, I was just looking for perpetual ideas, honestly. So
yeah,
we messed this up.
Wow.
Here.
Yeah, I was scared of the exchange sack. It's actually before I saw A4, I was like, oh no, the exchange sack's actually kind of annoying.
Wow, that's very creative. Very creative.
Like, I was seriously worried. Like, again, like as soon as my knight was on B5, I noticed the exchange sack, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I noticed A4, and was like,
it's stronger.
Yeah.
I would probably have went for the exchange sack if this wasn't if
A4 wasn't there, yeah. So if I was a tempo up for whatever, an A4 was in.
Yeah,
for sure. If you had A4, I would have sacked the exchange there, but it's.
Yeah, I didn't mind sacking. Yeah, again, the exchange sack, I sort of went like, actually, I'm happy for him for the exchange sack. So I was like, okay, now my king can like maybe run through, and I am up an exchange. Yeah, I mean, it takes time for you to eat my pawn.
No, you have way too many, and I just be looking for repetitions.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point. Even here, so let's say we follow the game. If you went back, I would have done the same with F5.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just to find a repetition.
Well, because F5 takes knight up. I probably try and trade rooks, but you get rook B2 again, which is kind of annoying. But then I might be able to come in with my king, so like rook F7, rook takes. But then my pieces are literally on A8 and A7, like they're doing nothing. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a big problem. So yeah, I don't know what I can do. Yeah, just
So you should have went back. If you went back, you were probably still winning. So it's
I don't
not
know.
as clean, but I think you're still winning.
I really am not sure, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so passive that like, let's say.
No, but that's one extra move from.
So the
King G, rook check, King G8, rook F7, rook takes F7, King takes F7, rook B7 check.
All right.
Now I go King E6.
Don't we just? No, we can't. No, that's the move orders. Here maybe.
So Matt and Joao, let me just say, like, these exchange stacks do look interesting for white, right? Like, all these positions look plausible for white, even down 2, 3, 4 pawns sometimes, right? Or 2 or 3 pawns in an exchange. And the reason is that the black rooks, right? It's like
No, it's not.
It's like they're caught like reclining, watching the telly with chip crumbs, you know, on their shirts, and suddenly there's like a battle going on, right?
Yeah.
Just, you know, even if they were sitting on squares like D8 and E7 or something, right? Just kind of poised a little bit, then these kind of developments wouldn't be so terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't think it works, but yeah.
Right. I think it does.
No, I think you pick up too many. Like, I think this guy becomes a problem for me because I don't have a passer and you do.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Kostya's opponent just sacked his queen to try and checkmate Kostya.
Oh wow. I'm gonna go check that out then. But
well, it probably already hasn't worked because I'm 10 minutes behind.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
And they've got 5 minutes each. His opponent's probably already resigned in real life.
Right. I'll go check it. I'll go see where he is. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right. Cheers. Nice to meet you, Joao. Thanks for giving Matt a good game.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, folks. So I think you're able to follow the post-mortem, right? The audio was working for Matt and Joao. So that was pretty cool. Hopefully for some of you to see what exactly what a post-mortem looks like at a tournament. It's really fun. It's great to have that kind of exchange with your opponents afterwards. That's how I've made a lot of my best friends in my life. Is, you know, play a game with them, chat with them after, and enjoy chatting with them. So, shall we go back through these exciting moves of Kostya's game? I think we should/shall. So, I think a key is that Kostya somehow lands this bishop takes d5 move, and white couldn't take it. They felt they were just getting torn apart here, but let's just double check that, right? The nice thing is Kostya's king's totally safe here with this bishop g7, king g8. Very few ways to get in at him. So he doesn't need to have like a one-move win here for this to be sound. Oh, but he does. It's just queen c2 or c3. No matter where the white king goes, right? There's some check. And then we just collect this. And basically he's up 2, 3, 4, 3 pawns. So very, very easy endgame for black. So yeah, so nice shot, bishop d5. White can't take it, and that's the end of white's game, you know. After this move here, I guess that means Kostya could even just drop his bishop here now, right? And he's just up 2 pawns with the safer king. His bishop that had been trapped on b7 is just a totally normal piece now. Everything's normal, right? But Kostya kept bringing the hits. He tempos the queen, gets her to the d file, then he steps away. Ideas of queen c3, rook d8, and maybe queen c2. White just doesn't really have anything to do. Kostya picks up a third pawn here. And now white sets up the only way into the black king's position. It's got to be through the dark squares and through that bishop. So this was amazing. Look at this, what white goes for. I mean, it's partly desperation, and Kostya could afford to play queen c8 and then, you know, queen e8, rook d8. He's got a lot of ways to slowly pull his pieces out because he's up 3 pawns and white's not threatening anything. So white made a threat. Queen d8. If the queen backs off from the trade, he's going to play queen g5. That's why white has to continue with something decisive here, right? And if they trade queens, the endgame's lost. So they went queen takes e5, going for checkmate on h8. Takes with check here. If white took here, black would have queen g5 check, diffusing the whole checkmate situation by attacking the bishop and king and getting control over f6. So white throws in rook d8 check and then bishop e5, threatening mate. The king tries to run. White cuts off the escape. The king succeeds in running. Queen takes d6 looked like a mistake, Skibix. Yeah. Or like a move that doesn't work. I don't know if white had a good move, but knight e2 played. Nothing really to do here anymore. You want to go back and look at alternatives to getting into the mess? Here, white played queen d6. What could they do instead? Double rooks on the h file. Not sure what it does. Kostya's plan is to play rook c4 and rook a c8. White's king is hurt. No, I think that the key to this game is just that Kostya overpowered white when he found this idea of queen c4 to a2. It was just, yeah, it was just too good, too fast. He's locked up the position with e5, and now he's got the time to just get in here, and now white's just dead already. This is just a powerful game from Kostya where white, and this sometimes happens with open Sicilians after the game, you're just like, what could I ever do? It's just a powerful game from Kostya today. Queen b4. This h5 makes sense. What else is there to do? Sometimes you could land some kind of rook f7 tactic. Probably Skibix. When Kostya played e5, it's not even right to play knight e2, although I was thinking of knight e2. But, you know, here, these pawns are threatened. I don't think that king b1, queen e4 looks like that's suddenly going to be better for white or anything like that, you know. Yeah, Kostya basically just took that pawn from him. Maybe the knight could have gone to b3 instead of e2. Then there's not the a pawn hanging, right? So here, I mean, this isn't glorious for white, but it's a playable move. Oh, there's knight a5 here. Nope, queen a2. Queen a2. Queen b4. Is this enough better to matter? Like if white has, like if black has to do this, then white's in the game probably, right? Maybe knight b3. Maybe knight b3 is playable. Now against knight b3, he doesn't have to do this. Kostya could have other things in mind, but maybe knight e2 is a mistake. And I don't know if d6 or knight b3 is better, but I suspect knight e2, that's got to be not as good as one of those other options. And then here, I don't know what white's supposed to do. Obviously, queen d6 didn't work, but I don't think anything would have. Okay, live position, knight e2, rook c8. He says now you can't even have the rook. Knight d4, bishop c4. Avoiding all trades is Kostya with the extra material. No, just because those trades would have generated some kind of something for white. You know, knight e6, fe6, white would have put the rook on h7 and bothered Kostya's king, so he avoids it. This f pawn gives his king shelter from this rook. He's just giving white nothing to do. Knight f3, going to e5 to re-threaten checkmate. One sec, be right back. All right. All right, they make move 40. I would probably also resign by now as white, yeah. Like Robin. Do we have another game still going? This was a draw. This was a win. And here we had a draw. In the queen and rook versus queen and rook position. So here white played queen e4, not queen c4. Then queen c4. And a draw. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's score all these games. 3 out of 7 for Anushka. And we already got Rachel and Matt's games in. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cheers, Scotty. Have a great day. So it's just coast you to play. Normally, at this point, you'd bring the king up. Is there... Do White have anything tricky planned? Knight f7, king f7, rook h7? Nah. Because you thought a long time on this move. Or white resigned. King d6. If there was some kind of trap or something, I did not see it. This move makes the least sense to me out of any move he could have played. King d6? I guess he's going to c5, but I don't know why. Huh. I don't understand what's going on. Does Kosio look like he's working hard in the video? A bit. That's weird. You think he's trying to keep the rook defending c4 because he doesn't want to break his pawn structure? You think he doesn't want to have to take with the pawn somehow? Right, because he could have gone here, yeah? As well. I mean, white does have this, winning the pawn here. Doesn't prevent black from winning the game. Oof, actually white can't even take the pawn. Oh, right, white could go here. And take. Also, no, then the bishop can check and the rook can get away. Yeah. Yeah, you're pretty late, Yolio. It's almost done. The round's almost done. King up to c5. Wow. Bishop e7, king b6, knight d7. Here's something that can go wrong. Right, that would be bad. But I'm guessing here, maybe come back to c7 if the knight's there, and then it can come here and then drop back again. And tuck the king on b7. Why is it so hard to get these to end this game? Oh yeah, the game with Shipman, yellow? Excellent. Excellent. With 6, knight c6. Okay. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. What if white plays knight d7 here? Then what's black gonna do? Yeah, it's a pretty safe plan for black. White, leaving white a lot to prove. You could try launching a pawn storm with b4 and a4 since you've got a pawn on c3 maybe. Now Kostya is getting a quick break after making time control. Probably eating a healthy nut bar in a corner or something while watching his opponent. I need to stretch my legs too a little bit. My bad knee is giving me trouble this week. Just gotta move. Gotta move. So, knight d7 check. I feel like Kostya would go back in here. Then against knight check, you could come here. And now rook d7, you always have this. That looks right. That looks right. Queen is often very good on e3 in this opening yellow, yeah. Of course, there are very few games in the databases, yeah. Nobody plays this line, pretty much. It'll be a surprise, that's for sure. You know, I don't actually remember how I first played the King's Gambit. I think it was very, very early on after I'd finally come into contact with other chess players. You know, I didn't play it on my own when I was just playing with my brother at home. But shortly after I made contact with the chess world and saw a chess club and chess tournament and stuff, shortly after that, I must have been shown some games from the 1800s by my chess coach, and started trying to get those kind of rollicking King's Gambit games for myself. But oddly, I don't even remember like the first time I saw the King's Gambit, so I don't. No move yet from white. Knight check. Yeah, I can't go to b6, so let's say king c6, and then let's play your move here, bishop e5. Nice. Idea of putting the rook on d6 still looks dangerous. Agreed. Agreed. So I'd try to fight like this. Would be my first guess. Let's see what happens. Check comes in. King comes here. Two choices, knight c5 and rook b6. Not this. Knight c5. Check. King over here, mate. Right? King over here, mate. Ay, that leaves stepping into discovered check. And this as well. This discovered check. Doesn't quite do anything for white, though it's scary and close. Oh, maybe take here. Just leave the knight on the light squares. I was thinking of knight a6, but you leave the knight on the light squares, right? Do this again. Oh my god, that's pretty scary. Knight d7, king here, bishop e5. So my first move, rook d8, not gonna cut it. Looks like we can't really stop rook d6. Looks like we're really taking some blows from white. Looks like white should not resign yet. Holy moly. White just played bishop e7 in the game after 10 minutes of thought. Hey, Giao. Let's see. We got a win and 2 draws so far. Coast is the last one playing.
And it seemed like he should be easily winning this endgame. Rook and 2 pawns against knight. And now, these opposite colored pieces attacking our king, we just not seeing anything. Just not seeing anything. Checked his king back. Maybe against knight d7, the king would have run forward, as somebody mentioned. Terrifying as this looks. But, you know, it always lets white also win back the exchange. And then you're playing opposite colored bishops. So, you know, you might get drawn that way as well. If there's no winning attack for white, which I guess there's not quite. But as soon as you go king b4, there is the question. I probably throw one check, right? And then there's this question. Taking that exchange. I know, it's tough. I guess black could still win this kind of an endgame. You know, even something like this. The king's in position to help the pawn through, I guess. Okay, we got to move in the game. So king c5, check. King b6, check. So no king a5 goes to no king a5. Not a move. So he's got king b7 or c7. King b7, knight c5. That's kind of where that knight wants to be. Likewise, king c7, white might play knight c5. Why do you want to play rook c5, Robin? Am I blundering something, or are you just trying to simplify? Simplify. Okay. The danger with simplifying, Robin, is we've got opposite colored bishops. So not every simplification is going to be a full win for black. Or maybe it's a win, but then you still have to play it well afterwards, maybe. We do. We have the protected passers. It's true. The knight's bothering you, yeah. Easier to be done with it. How'd this get so hard? Why is chess so hard? Ghost is still working all out, man. All out. Yeah, you can't score many points in this tournament without some endgame skills. You can see that from Kostya's games, right? Like, imagine if Kostya didn't have good endgame skills. You know, what game here could he ever win, right? Tough. I don't know how I used to occasionally win games without any endgame skills. Yeah. It's mind-boggling how far I got without winning any endgames. I got up to about 2,300 with the endgame skills of maybe like a 1,300. Okay, Kostya's made a move. Probably was with the king. Very hard to block a knight when it's checking your king. King c7. Not at all, pair. Not at all. That's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying here. That there is such a thing as endgame skills. And that some people will do better or worse in the endgame. Knight c5. I'd love to just push a5. I suppose rook h8 would be another way to play. Just try to get these rooks out of this area. But if you're able to push these pawns as they move, the scope of this rook will increase. But the other idea is, you know, you sort of get the rook out there and it starts discoordinating the white pieces with its activity. If two players below 1700, Guiao's asking, if two players below 1700 played a drawn king and rook and two pawns versus king and rook and pawn, would you play on if you were the player with the extra pawn and the other player was in time trouble, even if you know it's drawn? I'd play on if I were the one in time trouble. I'd play on against a player rated 2000 and I would beat them. Oh, but I'm not below 1700. But yes, in general, you should play on, Guiao. I can tell you this, that endgame is above a 1700 level, which means there's still going to be mistakes, which means both players should still be playing it to learn from it. Right, rook d8 drops the a pawn, so it's not a real move here. Kostya goes after the bishop, trying to make the bishop and rook trip over this d6 square. If the bishop goes back to e5, then the rook can't go to d6 either, right? And the knight's unmoored and has to go somewhere. If the bishop goes to d6, again, the king comes here and the bishop's kind of in the way of the rook, and then rook d8 is coming for black soon. And finally, white can give check here, but then this move, black can take. and win, right? So if white plays rook d7, check king c6, then they need this move next. And Kostya has a plan here too, my friends. Now I see it. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Otherwise, this king d4 move's very dangerous. Do you see? Like, all the white pieces are defending each other. White's queued up rook d4, rook d7, etc. Yeah, only one move. Boom! But that would be the end of the game right there. There's no checks for white, right? So they just have to take the rook, basically. And then you go rook check here, pushing the king off of the knight. Any block on d7 you can take twice. And I wouldn't let it eat you up, but the answer is you should have played on. I don't know if you did or didn't, but either way you should have, yeah. Robin over on Twitch is telling you, Giao, that they play on any position that they're not comfortable that they could hold against the computer. So if you're not sure that you could draw the rook and pawn side against a computer, then you can play the rook and two pawn side and let your opponent show you how they would draw it. You know, you can learn something from your opponent if they know how to draw it. Rook check, king c6 played. And Kostya's game. What's there left for white to do now? Maybe bishop d6? You can come here, and on rook c7 you can take. Where's white supposed to go after king c6 now? The knight can't move because of the rook. Rook can't move because of the bishop. Black's threatening rook takes bishop already. Yeah, white's gone in too deep, and he's going to lose his pieces in a moment. You offer to draw? Okay. Well, don't let it eat you up. You play out more games in the future. If you want our advice, you also don't have to play it out, right? Depends if you enjoy playing it out as well. Yeah, probably in the end he'll play king d4, hoping Kostya didn't see rook takes e7. But, you know, if Kostya played rook e8, then Kostya saw rook e7. I'm going to go back to the pool after this, even though my knee is killing me, and just see if that might not help a little bit. We get king d4. The most fun move. Kostya doesn't think too long about rook takes e7. Rook takes e7, falls immediately from the opponent, so he had also known how this would go. Rook d8 check. Now Kostya's expecting the resignation, but not trying to stare at him. And there we go. G. Great game from Kostya. The end game was a little bit weird for a moment, but let's not forget that Kostya had a very, very weird, tough-looking position out of the opening. He thought for 30 minutes. We didn't know what he should do. And he came up with a really, really great idea with e5 and seeing that knight takes e4, queen c4. I agree. If you see this kind of line, it's a good way to end the game. To play king d4, allow rook e7, rook d8. Now anybody watching the game gets a little drop of beauty and a little explanation of why the game ended when it did. You know, White went as far as he could, and this is where he got cut down. So, very good. Very good. Yeah, I'm going to conclude my broadcast there and go see what I can do about to rehabilitate my... Oh, wait, Kosti's here. Never mind. We'll bring on Kostia for a minute. Hey, Kostia. Sorry.
Hey, no worries.
Yeah, sorry. Congratulations. We're just wrapping up the game. The last moves just got played for us.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a tough game.
Right. Largely the opening, right? You thought for 30 minutes it looked like on e5 maybe?
Yeah.
Key moment.
No, on knight c.
Oh, on knight c5 and then e5 on the next move, yeah.
And then e5, I thought. Yeah, how'd you like e5?
Great.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you planned it when you planned it when you played knight c5, right?
No, not really. I was intending maybe e6 or e5.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Right.
Yeah, but that's one of those I wanted, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we looked at e6 too at some point here.
Yeah, maybe I'll give some backstory. I actually played the same opponent last year in this tournament, and he should have won that game. Like, he completely outplayed me last year, and then he just messed it up at the last moment, and I escaped with a draw. So he's quite like well-prepared player with white. It was very hard to prepare for this game because it's like I have to choose between playing an opening I know and an opening that I like.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
And he's a Najdorf guy himself as black, so
Oof.
Playing Najdorf into his like knowledge was tricky.
Yeah.
And his bishop d3 line, I didn't prepare. That wasn't one of the lines he's played, so I was just going off of my memory. I knew that the setup with g6 and queen c7 is supposed to be playable, and yeah, it was basically all I knew. Okay, it's a weird Dragodorf.
Yep. Yeah, and then he pretty much played the Yugoslav attack just with bishop d3 and a6 on the board, right?
Yeah, so he told me after the game that he had he was mainly looking at black playing h5 instead of like queen c7 or b5 or one of the moves there. And so he thought like, okay, well, if black doesn't play h5, then I should go g4.
Yeah.
Which
sense.
Okay, to me was a very logical move. I mean, I honestly have no idea what the eval is. The only thing I know about this position is that, let's say if white had played bishop h6 instead of g4, then I think I'm supposed to trade on h6, play bishop b7, castle queenside, and apparently that's like roughly balanced.
Okay, seems reasonable.
That was the extent of my knowledge from this. But yeah, so yeah, g4. I mean, I don't know. Do you think I could have improved somewhere?
I'm not sure. I don't know the opening, so I was as inclined to a long think as you were. I would have also needed to tank for half an hour.
Yeah, because like knight c5, it's not the move I really wanted to play. I very much wanted to play knight b6 there, but I just couldn't find an answer to queen a5. Oh, actually, this is an interesting line. Maybe we could look at this. I don't know if you analyze this at all, but I thought queen a5 is annoying, threatening like knight takes b5 or knight e6 maybe or something like that. And then I thought queen c5 is a very tricky move.
Jesus, into the face of that bishop.
With idea, knight f5, bishop takes b2 check.
Okay. So let's say king,
Followed by knight c4
king
on
takes
anything.
knight c4. And then maybe you take the bishop on e3, not the queen on a5, just for added hilariousness.
So if king takes b2, I'll take the bishop on e3. If white plays king b1, I go knight c4. Then the problem is I think white has... I think white has enough pieces hanging that I'm good.
Yeah, let's see. Like takes. If they try and throw in bishop b4 to be tricky, you have knight c4, and then your guy on b2 is fine.
And I always have like gf5 with tempos too.
And if they play bishop d6, then exactly, you go gf5, and all white stuff is hanging.
So I don't know. It's like really trying hard to make this work. It's like queen c5. I don't know what white does. I was thinking like bishop g1, then I go knight c4, queen e1, and I was like, I don't know. It's hard to figure it out.
Oh man. So you didn't find a refutation of queen c5. You just couldn't fully believe it.
I didn't see how it loses. I was pretty confident about the concrete stuff, but
Here's a question about
knight
f5, right? Knight f5. Oh man, yeah. I don't see any refutation to your line. It's terrifying to play.
Yeah. So you think if white has to go like bishop g1, knight c4, queen e1, I just pull my queen back or something?
Sorry, give it to me again. Queen c5.
Yeah, so I was thinking like bishop g1.
Knight c4 is your plan.
Yeah, knight c4, queen e1.
Queen e1.
And then white went back a bit, so maybe I just go queen c7 and just say I'm fine. I don't know.
Yeah, so in theory, white's threatening what here? A knight move?
Yeah.
They're not really threatening a knight move, though, or I don't know. Like, let's say I play rook c8. Knight f5. Bishop b2.
Well, okay, maybe they're not threatening right away, but yeah, I guess I couldn't. I mean, seeing it, just took a look at I'm seeing it from white's perspective now, and it's like white's position looks pretty ugly. So maybe I should have just thought about it like that. Probably would have been. I don't know.
It looks fine. I mean, and there's nothing like 100% like saying you can't drop back queen c7, right? I just don't even know if you need to yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was just worried I would miss something at the end of this, like not really. Knowing what's gonna happen, and then I'll miss some b3 or at some random moment. But
sure.
Yeah, no, I probably was okay.
I'm asking a horrible question now, whether you could just take on d5 while white's on the first rank. Horrible question. My point is something like knight b3, bishop b2, king b1, queen a3, leaving my bishop hanging on d5. And hoping that on bishop d5 I go back to g7 and it's mate.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. No, if they have to retreat both their pieces, you could surely play queen c7 and argue that you're better.
Yeah, because now, I mean, it's going to take forever for white to get the knight to c6, and when they do, I'll just take and play on the diagonal. So
how about after queen c5, b3? I mean, there's only one thing you're trying to do really, which is knight c4, so I try to stop it.
Yeah, b3 I didn't see. Yeah, for example.
So now
So that might have been.
you maybe have to try
pretty
knight
nasty.
d5.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take with my Bishovsky, or play bishop g1 again, but I'm not really into that. So Bishovsky, queen d5. There's no reason to think black wouldn't be good here, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really actually see anything there for white. So
Yeah. I mean, the queen's almost trapped on d5, but white needs to prove something, right? Because you're just going to play moves like castles and rook c8 and pawn to e5 even. So
yeah,
I don't see a good way to make a big threat here, and I feel like I need one. So no time for b3 then. Knight b6. Knight b6 looks okay too, Kostya.
yeah, maybe I could have gone for it.
What happens on b4? Queen a5, queen c5, b4.
On b4, I thought queen c3.
Mm-hmm. Going after my boys. Yeah, okay, that's fine for you. Well, I don't know what else to do. I mean, if that knight gets to c4, it's kind of out of control for me.
Yeah. Okay, maybe critical moments.
And I'm also afraid that you're going to take on d5. Like, even if I play, like, if I play something like bishop f2 just to try and survive knight c4, then I'm kind of scared that you'll take on d5.
Yeah.
Perhaps with your bishop first. Yeah. Oh, knight b6 looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one.
But when you find like a computer refutation to knight b6, then you'll be glad that you had your instinct.
100%. Actually, we were wondering a bit. So after I go e5,
Yeah.
I thought maybe white should go knight b3 there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my current suspicion, but I don't know either.
And then yeah, I guess, I mean, what was I gonna do? I was gonna probably take the knight and push a5, like we were discussing this, but I didn't think like I thought black is fine basically, but I didn't feel like I'm much better.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it's really complicated still.
Yeah, in theory, I should be able to play something like king b1. And then if you play a4,
Yeah.
play queen b4.
Queen b4.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you wanted b4.
No, because then you'll just play a3. Like, I can't keep the file closed, so I'm just going to rely on the fact that rook on h8 is not yet in the game. And that the diagonals are closed at the moment, so I'm going to try to not lose. I got this new strategy. I'm going to try to not lose.
So who would you take there?
Actually, queen b4 looks mildly annoying. I would say white is 2/10 of a pawn better.
Oh, okay.
So, but you don't need to rush a4. I think
Right.
if I play king b1, you can castle. Whereas, if I played h5, then I wasn't sure that I had this queen b4 move.
Right.
Because rook a1 is coming a little bit faster. But h5, might dissuade you from castling. So it was like a hard choice. But I was thinking maybe king b1. If I were you, I would then castle, then I'll play h5, then maybe you play rook fc8 or something.
That makes sense.
Feels somewhere within the realm of balanced, or I don't know.
Okay, so here comes the most important question. How do you think I did in the technical part? So I think in the dynamic part, I played really well. I was very happy with my move castles. I'm sure you were.
I was also happy you castled, yeah. I was a fan of a lot of these moves. I thought you recaptured on g6 with the correct pawn.
Yes.
I calculated an FG variation that was more for the crowd than for anything you would play. And then bishop d5, beautiful, totally sound. And then white's position's a rag, and it's just a matter of the mop being used.
Yeah, well, okay, I guess bishop d, like, when he played queen b6, that was kind of a tricky try, like keeping the rook pinned. But
oh, you know what's very tricky, Kostya? Yeah, it is very tricky because in my variations here, it says black could just play bishop e6, whatever.
Oh man, yeah, no, that was pretty, because I also have, like, there's also, if I go rook a b8, then rook takes d5 is a cold shower, I think.
Oh, very tricky. I think this, in my defense, Kostya, I think this phase, these moves happened while I was having Matt on, and he was doing a post-mortem with his opponent, and so we were chatting with his opponent. So, yeah, I didn't appreciate this rook b8 moment properly.
So it's all good. So I think I found the right move.
So you get off the file, get your bishop to safety, then you get back to it with your queen. And there's the back rank, finally defended enough times with queen c8. I get it. Okay, yeah, this all looks like perfection. So let's go to the queens trading. Bishop f6. And here you want to know if you got this part right?
Yeah, because, like, I mean, I basically made the last move on 30 seconds. So, like, it could have, I mean, I don't think I allowed anything, but it didn't, like, yeah, I was wondering if I had just, like, an easier way, instead of what I did.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of expected your opponent to resign around here, and then at some point we were like, wait a minute, we've got nightmares on our hands.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily see any better move for you than the moves you played. Rook c8, knight d4. I didn't know why you moved the bishop after knight d4. Was he threatening to take on e6? Oh yeah, and then maybe like rook h7. I remember. No, I did wonder about that.
Yeah, bishop c4. I mean, if not bishop c4, I guess I could play king d7, but then I didn't really like rook d1.
Rook d1.
I mean, it's probably fine, but
yeah, king c7, bishop e5, king b7. Okay, sure. It's probably okay. Bishop c4 doesn't look bad. Now knight f3. Hot potato. And this is where the king comes running out, and then we're in exactly that position you had. How about king c7 after knight e5?
Yeah, I played weird move king d6, right? Right, so king c7, rook h7.
Yeah, king d6 was the first sign that, like, wait, like, Kostya's still working, like, because he didn't play the obvious move, right? So, like, what's going on here? And then we, like, went back to being alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did find that rook h7 probably, like, wins this pawn, right?
Yeah, one of them. Are you thinking I should just give g6, right? Because it just doesn't matter?
Then I think I played king b6 when we were watching the game here.
King b6. Oh, okay. So knight f7. and then take the knight.
Knight f7. Then I found a crazy move which might not work, but rook c7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't look at this.
After I saw rook c7, I was like, wait a minute, maybe this isn't anything anymore. Like maybe this is dead.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't even take on a 7, then yeah.
Like weirdly, he has bishop d4, maybe king a5 only move, bishop c3, but you've got b4. I mean, there's just no way this isn't that he's gonna mate you with one bishop. Like,
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I just felt like it should have been like way easier, because like there's up 3 pawns, his king's on e3.
yes.
Like, how about normally you give a rook for this kind of comps.
Yeah. Right, like normally you'd have these pawns, but you'd be down in exchange at this phase. Like you wouldn't have your rook on a8, and you'd be trying to win this endgame as black or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe just king c7 to b6 does this part here. With that in mind, yeah, king b6 is right. Oh yeah, so after king b6, white could still get a pawn with knight c4 check, right?
Wait, knight c4. Oh, and rook f7.
Yeah, knight c4 check and rook f7.
And splitting the pawn.
Right. And I played bc4, rook f7, c3.
But c3, okay, that's probably too fast.
And I thought, like if white really had compensation, it'd be like rook g7, g6, which is obviously not happening against that c-pawn.
Right.
But also, like, it's not even clear that their king or bishop can get to c1 in time. Like, you might already have a queen here.
Right.
Like, I don't actually see a single piece that gets to c1 in the next 2 moves.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm often very, like, structuralist. Like, when I'm winning these things, like, I'm trying too hard to keep my everything perfect. So, like, I could show my opponent, look, I've got 2 connected passers and, like, an outpost over here, and right? But somehow taking and splitting your pawns here seems to sort of help get it over with.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Then I think, once we reach the time control, I calmed down. I realized that it's all, I'm just kind of getting out. King is going to like b7 and stuff.
What would you have done if he played knight d7 check instead of bishop e7? We had more trouble with knight d7 than bishop e7.
Oh, really? Let's just say king c6.
Right. Then we were going to now play bishop e5.
This I didn't see.
Because the knight's kind of holding your king in.
Yeah.
The first
Maybe
move...
I go like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's your first instinct?
My first instinct is like b4.
b4, making space, huh? Good instinct. Yeah. You might have been able to make it work. My first instinct, I mean, I would never have played it because I saw it pretty quickly, but my first thought was like, could we just play rook d8? I guess it's not my instinct, it's like my order of operations. I'm like, what if I just play rook d8? Well, rook d6 check, and basically you're mated. Like, we couldn't find anything that's not checkmate after this. You know, king b7, knight c5, that's mate. Against king c7 there's rook a6 check, forcing the king back to c8, and rook c6. It's heinous, but your b4 move, that could do it. b4. Yeah, it's like white's trying to mate you. They also get access to knight b6, winning back in exchange, but I guess it's not enough to save the game.
But yeah, no, I mean, could have definitely could have gone wrong. I mean, very important not to relax there. And he did the right thing, of course, just like keeping the bishop and the knight, just like looking for whatever chances.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like I got to run here soon.
Cool.
We have morning round tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
Okay. Thanks.
Get your sleep, and if you see Matt, tell him to sleep too.
Yeah.
That's maybe been his Achilles heel. One of his Achilles heels this tournament. Having too much
that's
fun.
cool. Of this tournament. Yeah. All right. Thank you, David. We will.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Bye, everyone. See y'all.
Alrighty. So, very nice treat. We got to have Kostya pop in, got to hear from him just as I was about to kill this broadcast. Where can you see plans for a group of dojo people playing tournaments together? I don't know, Yellow. I don't know how some people figure out they are or are not playing the same tournaments together and that sort of thing. But, maybe in Discord, or I don't know. Maybe people chat it up like that. Anyway, I gotta go run. I gotta try and, well, I can't run. I have to leave quickly because I have to try and do a little rehab on my leg here before the kids get off school. So cheers, everybody. Have a great one. And Coast will have somebody else covering the last round tomorrow. But note that I think it's probably at 2 a.m. Pacific time / 10 a.m. in Portugal. Yellow Matthew says there's a Discord channel for tourneys. So there's a Discord channel where maybe people talk about OTB tourneys. And yeah, take care, everybody. I'll be on tonight for Friday Night Fights, by the way. So that's in like 7-8 hours. Well, let's make the fights real quick here. We'll go here. Play. Another friend request. Yay, another friend. Let's make this tournament real quick. Tournaments. Create. Club Arena. So the Friday Night Fights, for anybody who doesn't know that's every Friday night. It's in 2 sections, over and under 1600. And the time control is 45 plus 30 for the under 1600 and 90 plus 30 for the over 1600s. So it's a classical game. The understanding is that you play 1 round, give everything you have to one game. I do commentary on it as if it were the Sinquefield Cup. So I watch people's games, say what I think. At the level of the players. If they're 800s, I don't comment move by move the same things I would say for Fabi and Wesley. Chess Dojo, Friday Night Fights under 1600, time 8 p.m. tonight. 45 plus 30, that one looks good. Let's make it. Got it. Go into Mumots, put it into fights. Save that. Close this one. Make the next. Of the clock. 90, 30, 1 day, and a title. Friday night fights. Fight. That works, yeah. Those aren't chess books, actually. They're just like books. My chess books, I don't have that many, but they're in my bedroom. All right. Cheers, everybody. See some of you for the fights later, and